we are sliding down a slope of discommunication, miscommunication, non-communication, where things are so misconstrued. There are fights, there are issues within family members. Little issues become big issues because people are not having a unified sense of each other's point of view.
Welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. It is a few days away from Mother's Day, so we are going to celebrate all the mothers out there. We're going to celebrate ourselves.
Yay.
And
we keep doing this thing called motherhood.
Yes, we do.
Because you kind of can't give it back.
You're always a mother. Believe it or not, even when you're a 90-year-old mother, you're still a mother.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. And why is it that I feel that the older I get, the less we celebrate Mother's Day? When I had little people, it would be like pomp and circumstances.
Because the little people aren't here anymore.
I know.
And the husbands look at us, they're like, you're not my mother.
Thank God. I don't want that job.
I mean, I am the mother of your children, and this is not a Hallmark holiday.
No.
Oy vey.
Oy vey. No, but make sure you reach out to your mother, make the effort to see her. It doesn't have to technically be on
If you're
Sunday.
lucky enough to still have a mom.
Yes.
It's tough for those that don't. Do something wonderful in their memory.
Absolutely.
Think about them, talk about them, then they live on.
And the fact that you live in their legacy, you're amazing because of who they were. And I'm blessed to try and emulate what you do every day. And I learn from my friends that are mothers, and we try to be like one another. And sometimes we see moms we don't want to emulate. Well, we'll get to that later in the podcast.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's take a walk down the top 3 lane.
Here we go. Well, we're not going to walk. We're actually going to run. We're going to go out for a pass. Number 3, U.S. Naval Academy graduate Hayden Rich awaits 3 days for a lifetime opportunity at the NFL draft. He was the 230th pick by his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers.
This brought me to tears. Eli, he is so cute. He was dressed in his naval regalia. I think everybody was tearing up as he took off his naval hat and put on his Pittsburgh Steelers hat, and he gave himself a nod in the mirror, which you only do if you really respect or have earned something. And I think it's incredible that the circumstances have changed. If you are going to an academy, you now can defer your service so that you can play professional football for as long as your career lasts. And then you come out of your football career and you go, well, he's going headfirst into the Marines for 10 years of service.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll have a long career in the NFL that he doesn't have to go anywhere right now with the state of the world.
Agree.
But we learned when we were looking at this story that only 3 people per academy qualify. So at most, only 3 people can be drafted, because if you're not drafted, then you don't qualify.
And that's Army, Navy, Coast Guard Academy, and Air Force.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. We want our elite athletes, our elite servicemen, to be able to do what their God-given talent is. And if they can do the NFL thing for a bit, they'll be better when they're in the military.
And I think it would be hard to go into the military and then try to come out.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So this is a great rule change.
Number 2, look up in the sky. Thank God, and our New Jersey State Police. No stolen crop dusting drones above. This almost $1 million theft was recovered. But again, a scary potential nightmare. I hate this story.
Think about giant ATV-sized drones that carry chemicals. It's scary enough that they're agriculturally spraying our crops. Now imagine what those could become in the hands of a sinister human.
I don't want to.
So yeah, it's an exciting thing that they have been recovered.
Took them a month.
And they're not giving up a whole lot of details as to who did the heist.
Which they can't. Active investigation, Homeland Security, let's go.
We had a bit of a drone problem in our area, so I don't love drones. I think there should be a way that they can intercept somehow the transponder so they can come crashing down without needing bullets, lasers, and however else you take these things out of the sky that are spying.
I'd like to take them out of the sky completely, because the investments that our country alone is making in this autonomous warfare, if you're paying attention to that, it's like $7 billion that they're asking for with the military budget. That's something I think everybody should be paying more attention to, what the scope and laws are amongst drones, because there is really no good way for us to prevent their use.
And the only thing I've really seen is this is a drone-free zone. So when you go places
So that works.
I know. I want to see some bigger restrictions out there, please.
Or like you said, some safety guards where if you have a drone, there's a way to automatically take it down. But like anything, as soon as you figure out a way to take it down, the people that know how to hack it go around that preventive measures. I don't know. Just keep your eyes up. Number 1, feels good at the Boston Marathon, a much deserved good karma moment by 2 fellow runners, assisting a done and depleted participant finish and qualify for the 2027 run.
I don't need to say anything else.
There it is.
It took
6 legs.
What happened is this guy was falling down repeatedly. I think I saw the video where he fell down 4 times. And the crowd was oohing and awing in like disappointment and sorrow for this guy. And finally, a runner stopped and tried to help him, and he couldn't do it on his own. And thankfully, another runner that was compassionate came, and they were able to get him. The finish line was right there. He had almost finished. I think it's beautiful. Good Samaritans, and they automatically qualified for Boston 2027.
Which question, because, and I don't know the answer to this. I did think that in order to qualify, you had to do it on your own volition, which you completely understand, because if I'm going to qualify for something, I have to physically finish. If I have assistance, that's not on my own. So I'm curious on the rules of the marathon, and I hope that being a good Samaritan gets you qualified. I'm not sure.
I had read that the 2 Samaritans were equally trying to supersede their personal bests and were going to do that. So I would imagine that these guys were all going to qualify, and because he was within, a stone's throw, I think humanitarianism came into play.
It did.
Is that a word? Humanitarianism?
Yeah, humanitarian.
I like it.
I like it. Isms are good when they're positive. We like isms. Well, getting to ism, we're not going to talk about communism. We're not going to talk about cannibalism. We're going to talk about communicationism, because it's really become an ism.
It's an ism.
Whoa.
And I decided to ask ChatGPT, who I really
the authority on communication.
I really can't stand, because I think he's responsible for the demise of communication. And I said, why has communication become so disrespectful? Disrespectful communication is rising due to social media algorithms that reward outrage and intense political polarization and high economic anxiety, which often removes the social consequences for cruel behavior, anonymity, lack of empathy, and AI users' desire for power or control, which allows people to get away with and feel empowered by rude behavior.
Absolutely. The sensationalism of another ism has overtaken our society, because, as we've mentioned on the show many a time, Farley will pull up a top headline, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. And the clickability nature of just getting that initial impact is what they're all going for. So it's the clap, get your attention, make sure I keep your attention for a short period of time. And we're here to say that is not an effective form of communication. And because of all those factors that Farley mentioned, we are sliding down a slope of discommunication, miscommunication, non-communication, where things are so misconstrued. There are fights, there are issues within family members, little issues become big issues because people are not having a unified sense of each other's point of view.
Well, there's so many different problems here. Slang is such a lazy way to speak. And there's a lot of reasons that our communication is slipping down that slope because of slang. So I also asked Chat why slang is a massive part of modern communication, because it signals in-group identity, it fosters social solidarity, and it offers a fast, expressive way to navigate digital-first interactions. It functions as a cheat code that enhances belonging, allows for efficient communication quickly, and evolves rapidly through social media, reflecting cultural shifts faster than traditional language. And belonging, because you know the words and you're speaking their language, that rolls over into the way we all communicate, because it becomes their normal. And I've seen this with the younger generation, calling, me bra. I'm not your bra. I'm not your bro. I'm your mom. And I've said this to my kids many times. If it's slipping out casually in conversation with me, who else are you broing and brawn? It's like burping or farting. If you just do it whenever you feel like it, or cursing, it becomes a habit.
Yeah, part of your normal way of being. Our population has grown so quickly. Slang gives an inclusive community like dialects used to in countries where if you didn't speak the tongue, the dialect, it's really a slang. And the kids end up using slang words more intentionally than adults because the slang words that we used to use are no longer applicable.
And we do an episode on slang every couple of months because it's hard. It's hard to keep up with. So some of the words they use, I'll say as my kids are using it in conversation, what does that even mean? Digital speed and efficiency. In a fast-paced, always-on world, slang allows for quicker, punchier communication, and people think that you're hip and cool because you're using it.
Yeah, this also is something that's traditionally used in a lot of businesses. If you're in a siloed business, there are buzzwords, or they take the initials of things and it becomes like a CTO, call to action. If you're not familiar with some of these very simple abbreviations,
you're not in the know.
Then you're not in the know and almost appear as if you are not within an industry or a group. So that's a way that makes it easier for people that are within the group, but it also makes it more challenging for somebody who's not in the group to feel like they're a part of the group. So that again is something that can actually break down communication for other people, although it can enhance communication for certain groups.
I think that the way or the manner in how we speak to one another has become disrespectful because of tones of texts can be loosely interpreted because of shortening language patterns and using slang. And this is the way the Gen Zs talk. A lot of us have Gen Zs. We know our kids, they're not coming from a bad place. They're not, it's just their way of communicating, unfortunately.
Another reality of the way that this has changed over the last 10, 15 years is because of our 24-hour news cycle, because of our need for attention. Fox News was one of the newcomers that came against the 3 top news programs, trying to figure out how to catch your attention, the fastest way to get you and keep you hooked. And a lot of times that is a sensational headline. It is the way to tweak the story, although it may be fact. It's the way to get engagement.
Drama.
Like, that started a long time ago. And then when the presidential debates came on national television, and Donald Trump was the first one to do it, who effectively changed the rules of engagement on how we're going to debate, that also started to shift things where people were like, how can people get away with speaking like this? It was socially acceptable because it was perceived as entertainment, changing the norms. And that has led us down a path where everybody on television speaks poorly. I don't care which side of the political party you're on, they aren't really trying to communicate. They're not trying to bring two sides of a situation together.
And it's like a cut down contest.
And that's the problem.
And it is disrespectful because
that's the problem.
They should respect each other as candidates and they should articulate well thought out debate style questions and answers that are done tastefully.
Correct.
Instead of, trying to take somebody out at the knees and come up with the snarkiest below the belt that looks creative and clever.
Absolutely. 1000%. And by doing that, we've actually broken down communication, because communication at its base is meaning that I have information that I'm getting to you. You're receiving it, whether you like it or not. That's not communication.
You asked me a question. I'm giving you an answer.
Correct.
Now I want to give you turn to have your answer.
Correct.
Heard and digested.
Correct. My parents called it tennis. You want to have that volley back and forth. That's what makes a great tennis game. And that's what makes a really good conversation.
Yes.
It's not me asking Farley a question and not caring what you have to say.
Listening is a key part of communicating. And that's another thing that has gone out the wayside.
1000%.
Somebody will ask you a question, but they're already looking through their phone or didn't even process what came out of your mouth. And they're like, wait, what'd you say? Listening is a skill. Communicating is a skill. And if you're a good listener and an effective communicator, there's not a lot of things you can't do.
No, it's
the makings for a very successful human.
It's getting to be a lost art. We were talking about this because of texting and the way we do the podcast. I still write things down, but I don't write things down with the magnitude that I used to. And 50 years ago, our parents would need to articulate an idea. They would write a letter.
Everything was handwritten.
They would write down their thoughts on a piece of paper. And that additional step taken from being in your brain onto a page, reread so that you make sure it's understood and then shared
Like taking notes and processing them while you're taking them down. Writing has become a lost art. When's the last time you took the time to write a handwritten letter? And I noticed that I don't write as much because I'm typing on a keypad and I'm texting and I'm sending emails. I'm not actually writing. So when I write, I'm misspelling things, or I don't like my handwriting anymore because I'm out of practice. And there's a reason in elementary school, you learn how to write. It's an exercise that you need for the rest of your life, but they're taking it away from us and dumbing us down with this damn phone, constantly texting and typing. I used to practice my signature as a kid because I wanted a fancy signature.
Mine's a scribble scrabble now.
I don't even know if kids even practice their signatures because where do they use it?
I think that's it, on the back of your credit card or on a document at most. And when you look at what the modern day note is, it's become a text message.
What am I going to save them and print it out so I have a collection of my favorite things people have texted me and sent me along the way?
Of course not. There's been instances with you and other people in my life where I've texted something and it's been read out of context.
Could it be a short tone, or did I infer something there that isn't because of the mind frame that I'm in, or because it's your own interpretation? So you can be tone deaf. Totally. Or you can read something into the nature of the text very easily.
Very easily. And I think texting is dangerous for that reason, because unlike a long form letter, most people weren't writing a letter to say, hey, what are you doing today? You didn't do that. There's no use for that. But because it's such short form texting, there is not this backstory narrative. You don't get any context on where it's coming from. I could be coming out of cyberspace and asking you a question. You're like, what? That's another part of this communication vehicle that makes it so nuanced. If I'm upset, I don't text. If I'm happy, I want you to hear my voice. You have an ability to record your voice and send, so you can hear my inflection, my tone. And the narrative isn't just communication. It's eye contact, right? It's if I'm having a conversation with you and I can't look you in the eye, that's much different than if I'm sitting across the table holding your hand.
It's sad because we don't extract as much about each person that we come into contact with anymore either, because of the lack of communication. So you look at the older generation and we already don't talk to them as much as we would have back when we were growing up. I remember getting letters from my parents' friends, and it would be the letter at Christmas. And you really got a sense of somebody's life in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If you didn't see these people or talk to them on the phone often. And that's a lost art. There's a lot of things that we're missing out on by not communicating efficiently. And it's getting people's backstories. It's getting to really know someone inside and out, because you've asked them questions and you've listened to their stories, and you can surmise a lot of things about the person because you know them well. And when I went to chat, I said, why has communicating efficiently and kindly become so challenging? It says constant digital overstimulation, emotional burnout, and the loss of nonverbal cues are the primary reasons why efficient and kind communication has become so challenging. We're getting so many texts. We're doing emojis, hashtags, LOLs, and we're involved in so many different communication chains.
It's like rapid fire. You can't even keep up. I think I should just throw out my Gmail at this point. I've got like 45 million emails.
Research shows that this is not only challenging to humans, but our nervous system was simply not designed for continuous high-speed demands of digital interaction.
That happened too fast. That's a common thread in everything that's happening in our world today. Everything is accelerated, amplified. Everything is consumerified. Everything is next level. You have to be better. You have to be more, biggering. And when it comes to communication and connection, if you're not effectively communicating with somebody, that means you're not connecting with their thoughts, hopes, dreams, struggles, beliefs. And that's
because you're not present, because people are not present. And then we have something called empathy burnout. And this is where we know too much. Relentless exposure to global tragedies and online conflicts, which trigger psychological coping mechanisms called empathy fatigue, so that we don't drown in distress.
Yeah, I get that all the time. You can't,
your algorithm, like whatever you're focusing on.
And how many people do you know? I could probably name 20 without even thinking about it. When I talk to them, they're like, I don't even watch the news. I don't turn the news on. I don't pay attention
Debbie
to what's
Downer
going on with anything because it doesn't affect my day-to-day life. It's not easy to do, especially when you're in our industry where
when you're constantly processing 1,000 daily texts and emails and notifications. It drains your brain's decision-making centers.
Mm-hmm.
And this leaves people with very little mental energy left for careful, thoughtful communication. It's been proven. It's just another thing that this device has taken from us. Our ability to communicate, navigate, our ability to do normal, simple things that should be like opening your eyes and breathing.
I remember my sister and mother fighting like crazy and arguing, and my aunt being tough with communications and the way that she spoke to her girls. There are certain nuances of age and time in life and stressors that make communication very difficult and challenging. And those are still there. They've been made worse and exacerbated because of this device and short form content. And you want to get your point across. You want to be heard. You need to tell people what you think. And if they'd only listen, but you're not.
Instant gratification nation.
They probably had some cues.
They don't even know how to read cues anymore. Reading cues would mean that you are present and that you are communicating effectively and you're listening for the cues and you're recognizing somebody's going through something and you pick up on the vibe.
Yeah.
It's very sad. And we always have to be on. That's another thing. We're never technically allowed to be off. It says with receipts, Reddit, and constant connectivity, which creates an environment of intense pressure to respond immediately. Mm-hmm. We don't just sit down and think about it and ponder and have a conversation with somebody else before reacting. It's instant. That's why these buttons, it's a drug.
Hit. For sure.
It's a dopamine hit.
And they want to keep you engaged and they want to show you that somebody's read it and you're excited. Think about it. What's more exciting than opening a present? You don't know what's in the box. You don't know what's happening next. And that's what they've done with most of these communication tools. Like Pavlov's dog, you have a ding that goes off when you have something in your inbox or you have a new message or got something in your Instagram feed. Those are all intentional on the tech companies side of things. And they're not meant for you to communicate better. They're just meant to keep you on.
Well, they say in a rush to answer quickly, people often sacrifice politeness. Mm-hmm. It's just this quick.
Yeah, let's get it out. Let's get it done. Let's get it over.
Therefore, you can misinterpret, misconstrue, misread tones. And now you are left with a question mark.
So I guess.
And we're terrible about communicating when somebody's hurt our feelings because now that takes communicating.
And it also takes a place of pause, right? And that's the other overarching issue with the way we expect it right now. So waiting a second to respond is almost perceived as a sign of weakness. You're entitled to collect your thoughts. You're entitled for a pause of response. Absolutely. If you don't feel that you're ready, willing, able, want to give somebody a response, just because somebody's asked you a question doesn't mean you have to answer right now. If you're on a game show and you only have 30 seconds, you do. But if you're not in a place where you feel that you want to communicate, we also have the opportunity to not. And that's a powerful thing.
And that's becoming a lost art as well because of the instant gratification, quick response. It's hard to not respond and engage and retaliate within.
Yeah. But then again, there's ghosting. So it's again, they're like the two sides of the evil coin when it comes to this terrible technology, because again, it has happened so quickly.
It's so rude. And you ghost someone and they get the hint. Why are you ghosting that person? Do you communicate why? Is it because he's out? You don't like him? You're no longer interested? It's like breaking up with somebody via text. It's emotionless and it's easy and it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I think that giving pause is one great way to slow things down. That's a really incredible tool. Getting down and composing your thoughts. I know when I'm dealing with a complex problem, I'm like, I gotta write stuff down more than just my to-do list. I gotta write down how I need to handle something because I don't want to blurt something out that I don't mean.
And how about recognizing your elders?
Oh, yeah.
Recognizing who you're speaking to. If you are younger than me, respect me. And if I am younger than you, I'm going to show an automatic level of respect to you because that's the way it's supposed to be. And I have not seen that stand true as of late. No. I feel like a lot of kids feel like they're on the same page as we are, and they talk to us like we are one of them, which we're not.
I believe the pendulum swings in a lot of ways. And I think that the way we were raised was a bit more like children are meant to be seen, not heard. It was a little bit more slanted in that way. And now I feel like my contemporaries, they're friends with their kids at a very young age. They're making sure their kid gets input and buy-in, and they want to make sure that they're happy and validated. And I do understand theoretically why that is, but I don't agree that we're on the same plane.
Well, I think it should happen later in life. I'm friends with my kids now because I have a 25-year-old and a 23-year-old, and they're adults out on their own.
But they're your friends after they're your children.
I'm still parenting them.
Correct.
But I can have conversations that I would have with my friends because they've earned that with their aging and the way that they have become adults.
Right.
But the younger generation, they're not on the same page. And we have to take our power back. This is a constant reminder for all of us. They are not in charge. We are. And we have to remind them of that. And that also will help with communication skills.
Yeah.
Because if they recognize that they're not the boss and they don't rule the roost and call the shots, then there's an automatic level of respect that goes hand in hand with an elder and a younger. And that's the way communication lines are established.
Yeah. And communication, like many things, have rules of engagement. We all need a bit of a boundary and a guardrail raising children and being a part of a friendship. There's certain things that are, in the lane that you should be doing. And then there are things that shouldn't be done. And especially our children, they are looking to us to give them what those rules of engagement and boundaries are. They are not an evolved 25-year-old kid at 12 or 10. No. We're not having the same level of communication and style of communication when your child is in school. And here's the other thing. If I'm paying the bill for your college, I'm still in charge. You are on your own, doing your thing. I'm parent first and foremost, always. I want to be friends with you because I want us to be able to mutually respect, communicate, and have an enjoyable life together.
And communicating is a gift. If you are good at it and you have people around you that are good at it, there's nothing better than being able to talk about anything and everything, using somebody as a sounding board, talking to somebody because it brings you joy. And I see where that has fallen to the wayside because of cryptic, really quick exchange. And it's why we sit down at a meal and want to have conversation and be present without a device, because you want to extract information and you want somebody to tell you their story, what happened to them during the day. And we should all look forward to it. Another thing that I would put out there is monkey see, monkey do. The way you communicate with your husband or your spouse or your friends, it's noticed by your kids. So if you are disrespectful to your significant other or to your siblings or whoever, the waitress that's taking your order that isn't doing as great of a job, that becomes duplicated.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I see a ton of people that are disrespectful to people in service.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
No.
Just because they are waiting on tables or they're doing a service that you benefit from on some level, treat them with respect. We should treat each other the way we want to be treated.
Golden rule.
And if we put that out there for the younger generation to consume and we lead by example, it can only get better. Now I'm going to enlighten us all with a wonderful Got Grit Award. Somebody that has taken the blinders off of MS for me. And her name is Christina Applegate. I'm sure most of you are familiar with her work. Married with Children, Dead to Me. She's been in a million things. I just read her memoir and it's called You with the Sad Eyes. And she also has a podcast called Messy, and it's spelled M capital with a lowercase e and a capital S and then another lowercase sy because she has MS and so does her co-host Jamie Lynn Sigler. MS is an autoimmune disease. It comes without warning. They have found a correlation with traumatic episodes fueling this fire. If you have a chance to read her book or listen to her narrate wherever you choose to consume your book on tape, the way she explains her life, she has suffered so many tragedies in her short amount of time on this planet. Her honesty is so compelling because she goes back in time to journal entries that she's written when she's going through these horrible events. And she makes comments to herself like, I really hope that this isn't going to affect me long term, or I really hope I'm not doing something to my body, because we all know that toxicity and stress can cook anything that you've got going on in your body. And sure enough, here she is, our age, with MS. She got diagnosed in 2021. She's gone through abusive relationships. She's had to be the breadwinner in her family her entire life, which is why she was an actress, to put food on the table. She had a mother that was present, but very messed up, and wasn't able to be the mother that she needed at the most instrumental times in her life. She had a father walk away from her. She had sexually been abused in her neighborhood. You can't believe what she's gone through. And we could look at her and think she had it all. And she didn't. She had a terrible eating disorder. She had dysmorphia and self-loathed. And then as soon as she got MS and went on steroids, she became exactly what she hates. She blew up big and couldn't look at herself. We are what we think about ourselves, and how we perceive who we are. It resonates inside of us and can change the course of our lives because it's so toxic. So learn from her. She's telling everybody all the ugly things and begging us to not do what she did. And she's leading by example by taking us back through very personal stories of her own life. So kudos to Christina Applegate, who finally got her Hollywood star, and she's trying to make a difference from her bed. She's basically bedridden. Listen to her podcast, Messy, because MS is messy. And if you know somebody that's suffering from this hideous illness, recognize that toxic energy and stress could have been the catapult. I just wish her the best, because I know you can live with this for a long time, but she lives in chronic pain as well.
Terrible, terrible disease. One of my best friend's sisters had it since as long as I can remember, and it's debilitating and terrible. And what's Christina Applegate's memoir called?
It is called You with the Sad Eyes.
You with the Sad Eyes.
Everybody has said, why do you have such sad eyes? And it was because she was hiding behind those eyes her true pain and all of the nature of conflict and trauma that she had gone through in her life. And she had to be Kelly Bundy. And she didn't love being Kelly Bundy, a dumb blonde that had nothing but tits and was a smart ass. She had to portray herself as something that she felt was dumbing her down. And Dead to Me was her role of a lifetime. She loved it. The one thing she did for herself is she was an accomplished dancer. She probably danced 20 plus hours a week. That's how she found joy. She did a Broadway play where she was expected to sing and dance. And in the initial round of performing, she pulled ligaments in her ankle. She's been tested over and over, but just shown such incredible character.
I love this story. She's amazing. I had no idea, and I hope I can borrow your book. And I had to look up her co-host, Jamie Ling Siegler. That's Meadow from The Sopranos. I didn't realize that
she's been living with it for 20 years.
Okay. Again, share that information with somebody that you love that needs to be inspired.
And if you want to
listen, not just about MS, it sounds like it's a tale about having grit and being yourself.
Oh, she is so gritty.
Incredible.
And I chose to read it because it's in hardback, and it made the New York Times best-selling list, which is an incredible accomplishment for her. But I really wish that I had chosen to have her narrate it, because her reading her own story and emphasizing things as an actress,
so cool,
would have been the way to consume this.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that brings us to our inspirational lyric of the week. All my instincts, they return. The grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. In your eyes, the light, the heat. In your eyes, I am complete. In your eyes, I see the doorway. In your eyes, to 1,000 churches. The resolution in your eyes of all the fruitless searches.
My favorite movie,
It's
my
so good.
favorite song, In Your Eyes.
Gabriel.
Oh, God. Yes, Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel. He's a really interesting human. If you haven't caught up on Peter Gabriel, he is like genius, was involved in tech before tech was a thing, has invested in a million things as an artist. He's phenomenal. If you ever have the chance, he still tours. I was actually able to see him a few years ago when he toured with Sting. And that was incredible. But keep your eyes peeled for Peter Gabriel, because he's always worthwhile. Hopefully we are always in your eyes. in your ears. We appreciate you taking us with you because we are on this journey of life and we can't do it without you.
We are ready to change things up a little bit. And we're going to be doing live events, and we'll be coming to a community near you soon.
Communicate, tell people about us, let them know they have a place they can go to get some real truths. And I don't know, next week, I don't know what we're talking about, but it might be a little sexy.
Very sexy, actually. We're going to talk about what constitutes cheating, and gadgets might be in the mix.
Gadgets, TV screens.
We're not going to give it away. All right.
All right,
Thank
thanks for
you.
tuning
See
in.
you Thursday.
Peace.